All right, Pat. We'll see how long the Pastronaut's flight lasts, or how long his journey lasts on Sunday here. We talked a little Vikings yesterday, but Vikings Raiders. Raiders can say that their season's on the line because they're 5-7. So technically, if they win some games, they're still in it. And the Vikings can probably lose and still be in it, but they're very much in need of a win here on Sunday.
The Raiders aren't in it. They stink, don't they? They stink. Who's even playing quarterback for them now? Does anybody know?
Purdue's own Aiden O'Connell.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, he had a big game like last week or something, right? Didn't he throw for a bunch of yards?
He's had a couple nice games. Okay. Yeah, he's not terrible.
Yeah, well, he didn't take the Boilermakers to too much glory, did he? I can't remember. I don't know, but
did they make a Big
Ten they got the
game
affable. I think we finally saw Josh McDaniels' last go around as a head coach, don't you? This isn't the NHL. We're not going to give him another try after two horrendous failures, right?
It's really three horrendous failures because he took the Colts job and then decided after like a day he didn't want the Colts job.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the assistants that left their previous jobs to join him were just stuck without jobs. So he's 0 for 3 in my book.
Yes, but I would imagine wherever Belichick winds up, he'll probably be there on the sideboard, up in the press box with the clipboard, won't he? So,
but he's too young to attach his full career to Belichick, right? Like, what does Josh McDaniels do in 10 years from now?
Well, he's got to be 50 now, doesn't he? I mean, he's been hanging around for a long time. I don't know.
Is he 50?
But I think he's not a terribly affable fellow, I don't think. Anyway.
47.
He's 47. He's
getting old. He's getting a little old.
No, he's got 20 years of coaching left if he can keep jobs.
Well, the Vikings should win Sunday, don't you think? I mean, they got Jefferson back, and Raiders aren't any good. As we were just talking about before we went on, half the crowd's going to be Viking fans, and I'm interested in going out there some weekend when there's I don't know about the Vikings being there, but either the Bears, the Bills was my dream visit to Buffalo, in Las Vegas, to see the Bills fans there. But one of the great tragedies is they had the Bills there the first year and it was COVID, right? So they never got the Bills fans. Vegas was basically shut down, so you couldn't get 75,000 Bills fans jumping on each other, chasing hookers down the street. It would have been fantastic. It would have been
Bills fans just holding a wing in their left hand, trying to flag a hooker down with their right,
jumping through tables from 6 stories up, and
it is
from the top
NBA,
of the Bellagio.
No.
The NBA and Vegas are kind of a really nice mix too, but the NFL and the Vegas made for each other, don't you think? I mean, it's absolutely made for each other. People without a lot of money who buy season tickets to the Vikings as their only entertainment will blow every nickel they ever have a chance on earth to go out in Vegas and watch the Vikings play and get knee crawling hammered for 3 days. It's got to be fantastic. Did
you see what airfares are though?
Yeah, it's absurd.
They topped out at the end at $2,000. Delta.
You're kidding me?
$2,000.
Yeah.
You used to fly out there for 150 bucks.
No, just for this though. It'll go back down now, but just for this game, because once they saw the schedule, I think they immediately jumped up to 1,000.
Yeah, it was high.
And then, but I saw a tweet today from someone taking people to the airport. They said it was $2,000 for airfare.
It's hard to believe that corporate America would take advantage of us like that, isn't it?
It really is.
It is. Isn't I don't understand how airfare prices go up. I mean, you got to be a certain number of flights and then they're sold out. You can't just keep raising prices because they're more popular, can you?
They did.
Of course, I'm the guy who said when they started charging you for bags, they're never going to get away with this. They're never going to get away with this. We're already buying the ticket. They can't charge us to put something on overhead, for goodness sakes. They'll never get away with it. And now it's, now the ticket price is about only about twice as much as everything else cost you when you start doing the add-on. So they are evil bastards, the owners of Air. We don't have any advertisers, do we?
I was going to say, if Delta wants to advertise, Zolgad here for the friendly skies of Delta.
Yeah.
No, we don't right now. I mean, at some point, I doubt if we will now going forward. It's fine.
So anyway, Jefferson's being back. I think Dobbs deserves a chance to play a game with him with Jefferson on the field to see what
a quarter.
Difference that
a quarter.
makes.
How about a quarter? Let's see how the first quarter goes.
Let's see how he looks. Yeah, if he stinks the first half, then hook him. Then it's over. Then the experiment is. You will have won 2 games, and you're going to win this week, no matter what he does. He can't stink it up enough to get beat by Vegas. I don't think so.
I mean, Vegas did when they fired Josh McDaniels. They did win. Now it was against the Giants and the Jets that they won those 2 games, and now they've lost to the Dolphins and the Chiefs. I believe
he got beat by the Bears, Pat. If you can get beat by the Bears, pretty much, you can get beat by the Raiders. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, we had a lot of fun with baseball and the no salary cap and the disparity of teams, but and bad teams and everything. God Almighty, there's a lot of bad NFL teams, aren't there? There's just, you saw 2 of them last night battling. I didn't watch much of it, but the Steelers are horrible, and they end up losing to a horrible New England team. And there's a lot of bad teams, man. There's going to be playoff teams that are bad teams because you don't have 7. You sure as hell don't have 14 good teams. That's for sure.
Well, you're also going to have in the AFC, you're going to have multiple potentially backup quarterbacks. I mean, right now, I think the Colts are in, and so Gardner Minshew's a backup. The Bengals if the Bengals can win a couple more games, they might get in with Jake Browning as their starting quarterback.
Yes.
The Browns are running out. Is it Thompson Flacco? That's right.
Yeah,
they just signed.
Did Flacco win last week? They get beat.
They lost.
They lost.
But
they got beat.
He played. He was sitting on his couch and he threw for like 220 yards and he still throws a great deep ball. He still is throwing great balls.
He just can't move anymore.
How old is he now? About 38.
Anymore?
How old is he? 38.
Oh, he's got to be. Let's look that up here. Joe Flacco.
He was half of one of the greatest
38.
Super Bowls ever played, man. That was amazing. That was the Interruptus, right? Wasn't that the Interruptus Super Bowl, New Orleans, and
it was the 49ers. The 49ers.
What was it? Why did we get interrupted? Was it
lights went out?
Lights went out.
Lights went out. Yeah. The old Superdome. So, but that was a hell of a shootout, and we all thought, boy, we'd sure like to have Joe Flacco. Didn't work out that way. So
Joe Flacco, by the way, and his agent should be commended. In his life playing football, he's made just shy of $175 million over the past 15 years.
Yeah,
pretty good run there for Flacco.
And it's funny how some of them just say, call me up, I'll still play. A lot of them, other guys just walk away, give it up. I suppose it depends on whether you get on TV or not.
I don't think Joe Flacco is going to be getting a $20 million Tony Romo package to, join one of those.
How's Matt Ryan on TV? Any good? Do I ever hear him?
We had him for the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And he was fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not real fired up for this week's game. I don't know. It's just I think they're probably going to make the playoffs, but what's the excitement level if they do? We're
getting more. Every Friday we do a Feedback Friday segment on Purple Daily where we just take questions from people, and half of them are about which quarterback should they draft in 5 months. I feel like fans are still engaged with this season, but those last 2 losses really took the wind out.
Yeah, if Dobbs plays well, they'll be right back, though.
But the other thing is, there's 4 quarterbacks that are supposed to be players or something, 4 or 5. They'll be gone if you end up drafting 17th because they're gonna, all the bad teams are looking for quarterbacks, aren't they? I don't know. So
Yeah, I mean, you can move up. You can move up if you want to.
Yeah, you can if you want to. Well, see, I don't know. Vikings are. I'm bored with it. We got 5 weeks to go. That's not good.
Oh, you're done.
I'm telling you, if Dobbs comes back and plays well Sunday, we'll all be back. If he runs around, runs for a couple of touchdowns, we'll all be back.
I'm down in the dumps, though, because my wild magic came to an end last night when I got shut out 2-0 by the lowly Vancouver Canucks. How did that happen? I thought
I'd fire John Hines, actually.
I thought
first period was phenomenal. After that, I have no idea what the hell happened, but the first period, they skated circles around the knuckleheads.
And why did they score a goal then? They've been scoring 3 the first period. Why don't they put it in the net?
Casey DeSmith got hot. He got very hot. Casey DeSmith, who played for the Penguins for about 5 years.
Wow. Okay. So he stood in his head, and then we got pouty. We got mad because we weren't getting our usual 3 goals in the first period, so we just kind of handed them a win. Wow.
Tonight's the test, back-to-back against the Oilers and Connor McDavid, and the Oilers are playing really well.
Oh,
and McDavid's back to
They were terrible early. They were getting beat 8-2 and stuff like that early on. But
they fired their coach. It's the key to life, Pat.
Who'd they bring in? Who'd they bring in as their new coach?
A guy named Chris Knobloch, who was McDavid's junior coach, who was coaching the Hartford Wolfpack, which is the Rangers AHL affiliate.
And so that means they got rid of Smiley Suter? Is that right? Did they get rid of? So who was coaching them?
Jay Woodcroft.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, well, where would
Calgary.
when he came
Calgary.
back? Yeah,
he was at the Flames.
Yes. He didn't have too long of a run this time, though, right? They ran him out.
Yep. He got bounced too.
Somebody was telling me, that he's the most miserable prick you ever met in your life when he's coaching. But they say when he gets some beers in him, he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who was telling me that. When I was over at the Heinz press conference, somebody was telling me, "Oh no, you're all wrong about him. He's crazy, Gary." I said, "Yeah, but he's such a miserable jackass when you ask him a question. It's unbelievable." So, anyway, what are we excited about our Gulfs 2 days later after pulling out that victory? Is it? Of course, we don't play another regular season game. You know what I'm doing tonight? I'm going to the women's hockey game.
Okay.
Right.
Arch rival Wisconsin.
Mark Johnson.
And the Gophers. They 2 teams that don't like each other. I listened to the one of the gals they had on the Access thing the other day, and she says, "I don't want to say I can't stand them, but I can't stand them."
Wow,
and
drama.
What's interesting is a bunch of the players are from Chicago on each team. They got they all were teammates, and then they end up playing against each other. But women's hockey's only got like 37, 38 teams. They've only had 4 different teams win the national title. It's not exactly a well-balanced sport, but you have these 2 teams who basically exchange winning the conference titles. I thought I'd go over there and take a peek. I haven't been. I think the last time I was there was the 41-0 year. So when the hell is that?
Wow.
I saw them go 41-0. And that's when we could barely get Norwood to show up to see Norwood had to fly back in from some basketball tournament somewhere.
Some Villa 7 meeting that,
he could not have cared less than he did coming in to watch a team that would end up 41-0, which is a good season. 41-0 in hockey. That's a damn good season.
Yeah, I think that's so. There's not much parity in women's college hockey, is what
they're a little low on it. That is for sure.
The winter meetings, Pat, aren't quite what they used to be. It feels like. So we did get the Juan Soto to the Yankees trade, and according to John Morosi, an Ohtani decision is imminent, possibly today. So we are waiting on that.
How about them? How about if he goes to Toronto? That'd be something. Rogers wants to use him. It's a media company that owns the team they want to use him to make a footprint in Japan, to become a So they're apparently willing to pay as much as the Dodgers are willing to pay. So the two of them, does he have the guts to go and become a huge name in Canada instead of the huge name in the United States? That's the question. I would still bet on the Dodgers, but they say that Toronto is very serious. Soto, did I hear Soto wants $800 million?
What? I have not seen that.
Heard the figure,
Isn't that what somebody said yesterday? Boris is asking for this ungodly contract,
What?
But Judge and him, okay, I don't want to get over my skis here. Judge and him, considering the confines of the new Yankee Stadium, could be the greatest 1-2 tandem they've ever had.
Wow.
He's a lefty pull hitter when he wants to be. I mean, Judge might as well be a left-handed pull hitter because he just serves the ball out there. Mm-hmm. Between the two of them, they might hit 130 home runs.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Judge Soto in that ballpark is going to be, and he's phenomenal. I know he had a terrible start last year, but this could be could be Maris and Mantle all over again. It's going to be phenomenal. I don't know who's going to compete with that when you go into Yankee Stadium. How good do you have to be to pitch a decent game?
How's their pitching now? How's the Yankees pitching?
They gave up a bunch of nobodies. Everybody said, "Oh, the Padres did real well." They got about 4 prospects. They got Michael King, who's like Louis Varland. And I like Louis Varland. I don't think I could trade
the Louis Varland slander will not stand.
Unnecessary Varland shade.
I don't think that would get me Juan Soto.
If the Twins didn't make the phone call and dangle Louis Varland, then I don't even know what this front office is doing.
Right.
Well, I said, how the hell can you go for Soto when you could have had Max Kepler, for God's sake?
That's right.
Yankees. We were more than willing to give the Yankees Max Kepler, but they decided to take Soto. So it's I don't know how they can make that decision.
It seems like a fireable offense by.
I love the guy, that's for sure. But yeah, the winter meeting. Well, we just talked about it for 20 seconds yesterday, but this regional TV stuff is real. It's reality here. There's a lot of people not spending money. I think the disparity. We worry about this. They put the escrow charge on you and everything, and they were trying to kind of even up the money a little bit, but it may be the greatest. You may end up with the greatest discrepancy ever between the spenders and the non-spenders, because the spenders might be about 8 teams, and the others 22 might be the cheapos. So yeah. I think it's the Twins are cutting the payroll 20%, right? 20%, basically 18.5%. I figured it out. If it goes to 125, which is how much we want them to cut the beer prices, right? But 18.5%. But I think it's going to be happening all over. And as we said, the Seattle was the tip-off that they will give you a good player if you take some salaries off our hand. So that's the new baseball.
Yeah. Falvey hasn't. I don't expect him to spill his guts to reporters at the winter meetings, but he's basically said, we've had conversations and we do want to make trades, but we're in a holding pattern because there's a bunch of teams that are trying to figure out if they have to budget for Ohtani and some other players. So it sounds like they are going to try and make a trade, but we'll see.
They are, but Kepler and Polanco, other teams don't want Kepler and Polanco for the same reason the Twins don't. They don't want to pay him. They don't want to. They're good players, but they're not gonna give you a $3 million player for an $11 million player, and that's what you're trying to do here. So, I don't think there's trades to be made unless you end up somebody really needs a second baseman. You give them Polanco and you get 2 AA pitching prospects. But the idea you're going to get some starting pitcher who's established, who's only making $5 million, and give them Polanco or Kepler for it, that ain't happening. That's not happening.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what should happen though is that while they're waiting to make a trade, maybe they could go get a new car. Maybe that's what they should do. They can't shop for players; they should shop for cars, huh?
Jim Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers. I'd like to tell you about all these great SUVs they have out there now that can go plowing through this Minnesota snow, but we may never get any anymore. There may not be any snow to worry about. But anyway, the interest rates are terrific out there right now. You want a truck? Good looking truck, 0.9% if you qualify. And do you want a SUV? 1.9% if you qualify. How much do I trust these guys? I bought my last 5-6 cars from Brett Paul and Jim Paul's Apple Valley Group, and also there's one in Hastings. The Valley Group of GM dealers. Good guys, trustworthy, and great fleet of vehicles to choose from out there. What's not to like? The holidays are coming up. Buy the family. Forget the presents under the tree. Buy the family a car for Christmas. That's my advice.
Amen. All right, there it is. Reusse Unchained. We'll see how the Gopher women do. We'll see how the Vikings do this weekend, Pat.
Yeah, there was a day that we would have all gotten a plane and flown out to Vegas and joined the fray. But
well, I blame the Timberwolves for not making it more efficient for us, because if they were playing in the semifinals,
this is what they had in mind when they, it's nice that the Lakers are there, but the Indiana Pacers, do you think they're there? It sounded like there were like 500 people there yesterday.
They darkened it too. They darkened the stands. You couldn't see the stands, so you couldn't see the empty seats.
There was nobody there. It was, it failed completely. God, I hope it fails, but I don't think it will. They'll have a sponsor, and because what they're going to have to do is play it on neutral courts, right? I mean, play it on home courts, because the Indiana crowd the other night in the quarterfinals was insane, and the place was jammed. But they're not, Indiana, cheapest people in America, they're not flying out there for $2,000.
Another drive flight,
huh?
Wow! I said another Varlin, now Pacers fans. You're just on a roll.
They're not flying out there to Vegas on short notice to watch the ball game. So, but yeah, it's I don't think they had the Pacers in mind when they came up with the in-season tournament.
Halliburton is becoming one of the best players in the league, but yeah, I think you're probably right. All right, we got to run, Pat. We will talk to you next week.
All right, goodbye.
All right, there he is, Reusse Unchained here on Score North.